Alright everybody, we're going to try something a little bit new today. I'm trying to move the camera around so you can actually see what I'm doing. Alright, I don't think that's too much glare. Alright, we're going to look at installing a oil pump right now. So first thing I'm going to do, I've kind of dug in the bags, and I've got the oil line right here. Let's get the filter on the end. Okay, that's how that's going to go. Alright, so the way I like to do this sometimes, I like to use a little bit of grease. I've been finding out more and more with some of these saws, they react a little bit better to that. I'm not going to use very much. I am putting some on there. And we're also going to put a little bit in the line as well. Not so I get grease in the pump, but so that I can actually, whenever I put the pump on there, it actually makes a good connection. If you do it dry sometimes, you end up... Let me get that in there real quick. There we go. If you do it dry sometimes, it doesn't quite make a good seal to the actual oil pump. Alright, let me double check you can actually see this real quick. You cannot. Okay, you can actually see that? Yep. So that's all the way in there. I'm going to push that in. I felt it lock in, and now I've got a little bit of grease around the end of the hose so it can actually make a connection. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on both sides of this right here. This is the seal that actually mates the body, the outlet, to the oil pump itself. So this big one I just did is the inlet, the small one is the outlet for the pump. It's like your primary and secondary sides. All right. Here is a brand new, I believe this was the high volume oil pump. I don't remember offhand. I've had this for a while. 1124, 640, 3203. I believe they had a stock, like a standard version, and then they had one that they said was like a higher output. Got the cap on the end, yes. All right, there's your tuning right there. There's your inlet and your outlet. All right, there's the oil pump all ready to go. I'm going to take a few minutes and look at a diagram again. This little bugger goes right here. Let me get that bag of screws again. There's going to be a bunch of these little buggers, so I think I'm going to set this at about, yeah, I like that, right about 12. I will double check it real quick, but I know it's pretty good right there. All right, I like that. Next, we're going to oil this little bugger right here. This is your oil pump drive. So this is fed off of the clutch. We're going to put a good amount of grease on the teeth. And a good amount on the bronze bushing right there. And then just because I want to, I'm going to put a little bit right around here. I don't think there's any contact there, but let's just have it there in case. All right, so there is the oil pump drive. We should be good there. All right. It's like a gigantic jigsaw puzzle. There we go. I'll have to figure out later where this goes. I have a rough idea. I'm going to set that right there. I'll look for it later. All right. I like that. I'm not going to end up keeping that. That's the Farmer Tech oil pump. So you've seen me do a bunch of chain brakes. I hope this is a better angle for you, so maybe it'll be a little bit more useful. Alright, there's that. I need to get a brake flag here in a second, but let me get some parts out. We're just going to lay them over here for the moment. Alright, so the way I do this, that'll slide in like that, line up with that hole. But first, we need to get our cam in there. And the cam goes in basically right here, right under that brake band. There it went. It took a second, but I finally got it in there. So we're going to sneak it over top here. There it went. Line that up. All right. Now let's put that retaining clip in. Okay. All right, rotate that back. So you got to put it in the trip position. Slide that all the way in. Okay. Now we're going to take and we're going to put a screw in the bottom here. Okay. Now for the worst part of it. We're going to turn this so that if something does pop, it's not coming toward me. There it went. All right. All right, we're going to drop this down on here real quick. All right, we've got the chain brake assembled, the oil pump assembled, the oil pump drive assembled. I think I'm gonna stop with the chain tensioner real quick. I think we'll probably call it there for today. I've got a few other projects to work on in the house as well. All right, so this O-ring, where'd my tub of grease go? I like to oil a lot of this stuff, so I'm gonna put some grease over that nub right there. And that's where we're gonna slide this first. That goes on there though, like that. This right here is gonna go up. That goes just like that. So we put a little bit of grease on the threads. One thing I have noticed, the Farmer Tech chain tensioners are not very good. I'll probably end up eventually swapping this out for an OEM one. Go. All right, so what I figured out, we're gonna grease this thing up real quick. Yes, even with some of these, I have to go back and look at parts diagrams. There we go. Next, we have the thrust washer. I think I'm done with the grease now. Then if I'm reading the schematic right, this goes in. And then this. Which, yeah, that looks right. And that is how you assemble the chain tensioner. All right, I think I'm going to call that for today. I'm pretty happy with how we've got it turning out so far. Right now, what we've got is, I know I said it in the last one, we've got an OEM STIHL crankshaft, OEM STIHL wrist pin bearing, Proline bearings, seals, and gasket, Meteor, piston, wrist pin, retaining clips, and cylinder. The rest of this is cheap Farmer Tech. This is going to be one heck of a chainsaw. But yeah, we're going to call it there for today. We'll talk to you later. Take it easy. Bye.